one of the experiences I have had on my journey to success that I will never forget is the starting of my broadcasts on the media over 2 decades ago, and that was on radio. I started first on radio. See, the quality of information, the quality of advice that was available to me made a world of difference in the way I started. See, I just mentioned it to a group of people. Oh, I have this idea. I want to go on radio. Okay? And I'm working towards it. I had never functioned in the media environment before, so I actually didn't have any clear ideas about the details of what I wanted to do. However, the day I mentioned it to the group of people, 2 young men that walked up to me, helped me to research the listenership to the radio stations in my city, and then asked how I wanted to record. I said I wanted to do it in my office, and they said, no, we have to go to the studio. Then they asked, so what are you going to say? That's the content. What are you going to say? And how are you going to present it? I said, you know, I'm a speaker. I'm a public speaker. I've been speaking for a few years. And what I do is to make notes. I just write outlines. I look at the outlines and just roll, say what I want to say. That's how I want to record this. They said, good. Can we do some rehearsal in your office? I said, sure. So we went into the office. They said, have you made some notes? I said, yeah. They said, okay, so let's do it. Countdown. 3, 2, 1, action. And then I started. And after I had said 3 sentences, I stumbled. And the producer said, cut. You can start all over again. So I started all over. After a few sentences, I stumbled. He said, cut. He said, you know what, I'm just trying to let you know it won't work this way. I need you to write everything you are going to say. Write everything you're going to say. You see, because I was new to recording like that, he knew where the problem was because he was the professional, or he is still the professional. I was trying to think and to talk at the same time, you know, and I wanted to do both well. So I wrote everything out, gave him what I wrote. And then after a few days, he came to me with the notes, and he had used the pencil, and he would cancel like 3 sentences and replace them with 1. He would ask me, so what exactly are you trying to say here? I would explain it. Said, okay, what if we express it this way? Does it say the same thing? I said, yes. He said, that's it. Use the fewer the words you use, the better. In fact, the more you'll be able to communicate. You need to make it tight, okay? And the easier it will be for people to follow your thoughts. I said, okay, thank you. Then they took me to the studio, and we began to record. And at the beginning, there were many cuts. The first one was, cut. You're sounding flat. You don't have any emotions. You need to put some emotion, put some feeling into what you're saying. I said, okay, thank you. And then we continued. Then it was cut. The producer said, you're shouting. Okay? I know you're used to speaking to hundreds and to thousands of people at the same time. And you have the idea in your mind, probably millions of people are listening to you on radio. He said, but it's only 1 person before the radio sets. If you talk to 1 person, like you're speaking to 1,000, you'll be shouting at that person, and you'll put the person up. He said, they'll just change the channel. Just move on to the next station. I said, oh. So he said, use a conversational tone. Have only 1 person in your mind. I said, okay, thank you. I mean, that went on and on. Let me tell you the impact of the advice that I got from these amazing gentlemen. I had the opportunity to be on a national TV program, and the presenter asked me, I've listened to you on radio. Are you a professional broadcaster? Did you study broadcasting? I said, no, I studied engineering. Okay? And I'm a public speaker. He said, but you're so good. You sound like a professional. I said, thanks to professionals like you that have been patient enough to teach me the tricks of the trade. This is what I'm driving at. The quality of advice available to you will, to a large extent, determine the quality of your decisions and the quality of your success. And sometimes that advice is professional advice. You've got to be very interested in getting advice, and you've got to be very interested in getting good quality advice. Sometimes the people that have the information that we need are interestingly close by. I read something many years ago that we tend to recognize opportunities when they are far away from us. We see them clearly, but that the closer they get to us, the more they tend to diminish in sight, to the point where by the time they are in our lives, we don't even recognize them anymore. I'm serious. Some of us have family members whose advice could make a world of difference to us, to our career, to our relationships, to our finances, and we've never asked them one question. Some of us have maybe people that we meet together. It may be in a club, it may be in church or at a religious center, you know, it may be in the neighborhood, but there are people who have access to information that could be game changers for us. And it's just never crossed our minds, because some of us don't even ask for advice in the first place. Okay? So the quality of advice available to us influences the quality of our decisions. I will always be grateful to the people that have given me advice along the line. Let me share another one with you. I used to write a column in a national newspaper, okay? And I titled it National Success. And then several months after I started, a journalist who happened to be editor of another newspaper, but who's close to me, called me and said that he had called the editor of the newspaper where I had the column, and they had discussed my column. And the reality was that my column was not attracting readership, or at least as much as we thought it should. And he told me why. He said it was simply because at that time, people were not interested in what was going on in the country. He said people were interested in their own success. See? I didn't get angry over it. He was telling me the truth. In any case, this was his area of expertise. You're selling what people are not interested in. Okay? People are not interested in national success when they have serious struggles in their lives. They're interested in personal success. You know what I did? I changed the name of the column. I changed it to all-round success. You know? One major quality required for getting good advice is humility. Not wanting to take advice from people, not being open to take advice from people. Sometimes professionals, sometimes people that have results in a particular area is a sign of pride. And I'm telling you, the people that have the information have nothing to lose. I mean, the two young men that advised me on how to go on radio, They had nothing to lose. They had their jobs, they got their pay, and they offered to give me the advice for free. If I rejected the advice, it was my loss. Let's pay attention to the people around us that have the potential to give us advice that can be game-changing. When we seek advice from people, we should not put them under pressure to make our decisions for us. This is important. If somebody is giving you advice, it should be advice to help you make your decisions. So on your part and on the part of the person giving the advice, there should be no pressure to make the person giving the advice to make up your mind for you. Listen, it's a lot of responsibility to make a decision on somebody's behalf. When you do that, you are assuming the risk for the success or failure, or especially the failure, of course, of the advice. So, if I seek advice from someone and the person assumes the responsibility for making the decision and says, do it exactly this way. If something goes wrong, I can go back to the person and say, you know what, you are the one that told me to do it this way. And I wasn't even feeling like doing it that way. You were the one that told me to do it this way. You're responsible for my failure. So as a person, first, when you seek advice from people, don't do it like you're expecting them to make up your mind for you. It drives people away because when they are very smart, they know they should not bear such responsibility, they should not bear such risks. They run away from you the next time. They'll not be very willing to give you advice. Secondly, as a person, even you should not take it. If you ask advice from someone and the person is now trying to assume the responsibility for making up your mind for you, you need to define the limit of the person's responsibility, okay? Don't let people make up your mind for you. You make up your mind for yourself. Your own decisions determine your own destiny, okay? I'd like to reiterate something that I alluded to before, and I'd like to say it again. That when you seek advice from someone, you try to be sure that the person has the competence to advise you on that subject. We said it's either the person has expertise or the person is successful already. Now let me touch more on this issue of the person being successful already. I want to add that the person should have been successful on a long term. The person should have had long-term success in the area for which you want advice. Because if it's only short-term success, the person may not have had enough experiences to actually address your situation with competence. When somebody has had long-term success in a particular area, the person has very likely made mistakes. The person has very likely, experienced some failure along the line. All of the experiences, both the positive ones and the negative ones, are very useful to you. The failures will let you know what you avoid, okay? They let you know the pitfalls along the line, the mines along the line, what to sidestep, okay? The successes will help you to know what to do to achieve your goals. So, when you want to take advice from people that have been successful in the area for which you seek advice, let it be people that have achieved long-term success in the area for which you are seeking advice. I want to mention the importance of mentoring. Okay, mentoring. Because a good chunk of the positive advice that I have received have come from mentors. Okay, mentors. Very important. that you have someone that is a model of what you want to become, and the person has your interest at heart, and you can reach out to the person and ask questions. Mentoring works in different ways, okay? But for the most part, you want somebody that you can relate with directly. There are some people that I have adopted as my mentors, and I've never even met them. I have interacted with them through their products, like the books and their audio messages and their video messages. And even when I have a question to ask, I can go into a book, listen to it, or read the book, or listen to an audio recorded message, and get the answer. Get an answer to the question that I'm asking. It's amazing the way it works. Okay? So mentoring is a very powerful thing. What's the point actually in reinventing the wheel? Having to go through all over, experimenting with your life and with your time, what someone went through 10 years, 20 years ago, and already found the way through. So mentoring can be very powerful. Mentoring has saved me from mistakes. I've had instances where I went to my mentor, I asked a question about something, and when he gave his advice, I was just smiling. And the reason why I was smiling was because I was thinking in my mind. What was I thinking? Because my foolishness became very apparent, very obvious. Okay? So I was wondering, I was just thinking to myself, why was I thinking like that? I'm telling you, wisdom is powerful. King Solomon, that wise man, in Bible days, what he said, that wisdom is the principal thing. With all you're getting, with all your energy, with all your drive, get wisdom first. And also get understanding. It's amazing. Prioritize knowledge. Not only knowledge, but applicable knowledge. Wisdom is knowledge accurately applied. Of what use is knowledge? Really, if you can't use it to solve your own peculiar problem. You can read a book written by somebody else sometimes and just still not be able to apply the principles to your context. That's where a mentor comes in. I mean, that understands your context, that has applied the same principles within your context. The person has practical experience to share. Some of us need mentors for marriage, in our marriage relationships. I mean, some of the things we experience in first year of marriage, 2 years of marriage, you ask somebody who's been married 20 years and they just smile. They just smile and say, you know what, you don't have a problem. What you're going through is absolutely normal for a marriage of 1 year. And you are there literally pulling your hair off and going crazy. Whereas what you're going through is normal for the phase that you're going through. Who's going to tell you that? Okay? We need mentors. Some of us need mentors in the area of our finances. Some of us need mentors in the area of our careers. You will get good quality advice if you are humble enough to admit some people are ahead of you, and you're humble enough to ask questions and to ask for help.